Alrighty, Pretender here, back with another Honkai Star Out guide, and today I'm here with the full build guide for the character that's going to be rerunning in the first half of 2.6, being Dan Heng Imbibitor Lunae. So this video is going to be taking you over his kit, and then is going to be taking you over his best lightcone options. Followed by that will be best relic options, including ornaments, and then will be the stats you want on the relics, so both main stats and substats. I plan on having a full build guide for every single character that is going to be releasing and is rerunning in 2.6. Rappa is already out that you can check out right now. You are now watching the Dan Heng guide. Acheron will be getting a guide soon, and Aventurine will be getting another guide soon. So if you're summoning for any characters in 2.6, make sure to stick around and you will get the guide for that character. Anyway, before I get to the video, drop a like, drop a sub, hit the bell icon for more videos like this. We're getting closer and closer to the 10k goal, and we're also very close to 8k, very much appreciated. So if you guys can hit the sub to show your appreciation, would be greatly appreciated. Let's get into it. So Dan Heng is an imaginary character following the path of destruction. His basic attack uses a 2-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 100% of Dan Heng's attack to a single target enemy. His skill will enhance his basic attack. Enhancements may be applied up to 3 times consecutively. Using this ability does not consume skill points and is not considered using a skill. This is worded a bit weirdly, but pretty much what you're seeing is every time you do use the enhancement, it will actually consume a skill point. I don't know why it says it does not consume it, but it actually does. But it is not considered a skill. It is just using the skill points to enhance the basic attack. Enhance once, Beneficent Lotus becomes Transcendence. Enhance twice, Beneficent Lotus becomes Divine Spear. And enhance thrice, Beneficent Lotus becomes Fulgurant Leap. When using Divine Spear or Fulgurant Leap, starting from the 4th hit, 1 stack of Outroar is gained before every hit. Each stack of Outroar increases Dan Heng's crit damage by 12% for a maximum of 4 times, and the stacks last until the end of his turn. So now taking a look at actually what the basic attack enhancements do. So Transcendence uses a 3-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 260% of Dan Heng's attack to a single target enemy. Divine Spear uses a 5-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 380% of Dan Heng's attack to a single target enemy. From the 4th hit onwards, simultaneously deals imaginary damage equal to 60% of Dan Heng's attack to adjacent targets. And then the final stage, Fulgurant Leap, uses a 7-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 500% of Dan Heng's attack to a single enemy. From the 4th hit onward, simultaneously deals imaginary damage equal to 180% of Dan Heng's attack to adjacent targets. His ultimate uses a 3-hit attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 300% of Dan Heng's attack to a single target enemy. At the same time, deals imaginary damage equal to 140% of Dan Heng's attack to adjacent targets, then obtains 2 stacks that I'm not going to try to pronounce. It's possible to hold up to 3 of those stacks, which can offset Dan Heng's consumption of skill points. Consuming those stacks is the equivalent to consuming skill points. So pretty much when you do use this, and you will see on his actual thing, if you pay attention to the background footage as well, on his actual icon there is those 3 little yellow charters that you can have. If they're gray, that doesn't mean you have them, but every one that is lit up yellow up to 3 is going to offset a skill point usage. So let's say you use the ultimate and you gain the 2. When you have those 2, you can consume those 2 skill points and actually not have the skill points consumed. So if you have 2 and then you go up to Fulgurant Leap, instead of consuming 3 skill points, it is actually going to consume 1 skill point. His talent: after each hit dealt during an attack, Dan Heng gains 1 stack of Righteous Heart, increasing his damage by 10% and can stack up to 6 times, lasting until the end of his turn. His technique: after using his technique, Dan Heng enters the Leaping Dragon state for 20 seconds. While in the Leaping Dragon state, using his attack allows him to rapidly move forward for a set distance, attacking all enemies he touches and blocking all incoming attacks. After entering combat via attacking enemies in the Leaping Dragon state, Dan Heng deals imaginary damage equal to 120% of his attack to all enemies and gains 1 stack. For his bonus traces, his A2 at the start of the battle immediately regenerates 15 energy. His A4 increases the chance to resist crowd control debuffs by 35%. And his A6, when dealing damage to enemy targets with imaginary weakness, crit damage increases by 24%. For his Eidolons, his E1 increases the stackable Righteous Heart count by 4 and gains 1 extra stack of Righteous Heart for each hit during an attack. His E2, after using his ultimate, Dan Heng's action is advanced forward by 100% and gains 1 extra stack. His E4, the buff effect granted by Outroar lasts until the end of this character's next turn. And his E6, after any other ally uses their ultimate, the imaginary res pen of Dan Heng's next Fulgurant Leap attack increases by 20% and stacks up to 3 times. Moving on to the best lightcone options for Dan Heng, his best one is going to be his own signature lightcone. If we take a look at what it provides right here, we do see that it increases the wearer's crit rate by 18%. and when the wearer uses their basic attack, they gain a stack of Dragon's Call, lasting for 2 turns, and each stack of Dragon's Call increases the wearer's attack by 18%, and increases energy regeneration rate by 6%, and Dragon Call can be stacked up to 2 times. So you're getting a very nice 18% increase to your crit rate, which is very, very helpful. And on top of that, you are gaining up to a 36% increase to attack and 12% energy regen rate, which is going to help you gain ultimate faster, helping you offset your skill point consumption even more. And then the big increase to attack percent is also very much welcome, making this his best in slot. Another great option is actually the free-to-play Herda Shop Lightcone, which when the wearer attacks increases their attack by 16% in this battle, and the effect can stack up to 4 times, and after the wearer breaks an enemy's weakness, increases damage up by 24% for 2 turns. So once again, a very nice increase for attack percent. You can get up to 64% increase to attack, which is a lot of attack, so that's a very nice increase to damage. And then on top of that, once you do break an enemy's weakness, and if they're weak to imaginary, it's relatively easy to break them with Dan Heng, you're gonna get the 24% increase to damage, which is really good. And since his actual enhancements make him hit a bunch of times, it is very easy to actually stack this up, and even if you can't use them always, usually pair him with some form of action advance to make sure you can stack this up quickly anyways, making this another very good option. Another good option you can use is actually the Under the Blue Sky Lightcone, which increases the wearer's attack by 32%, and when you defeat an enemy, the wearer's crit rate increases by 24% for 3 turns. So a nice increase to attack percent right there, and when you do defeat an enemy, which with Dan Heng is really easy to kill enemies on the side while you're targeting the elite enemy if there are times where you can do that, you get a massive increase to your crit rate, giving you up to 24%, which is very, very good, making this a very powerful option as well. And then besides that, he unfortunately doesn't have too many good options, but you can also just go ahead and use this Secret Battle Lightcone, which increases the damage dealt by the wearer by 40%. And the second part you could practically ignore because enemies usually always have more HP than you. But if you don't for some reason in that situation, you get an additional 40% damage increase, which will increase the value of this Lightcone, but again, it's usually just for the 40% damage increase. It's not a strong option because it's usually just that, but it is another option you can use if you don't have any other option. Moving on to the best relics for Dan Heng. So his actual relic sets options are very limited as their performance is very similar. So out of these, pretty much just go ahead and use whichever one you have the best actual rolls on, because he does not actually have a dedicated set. The best one overall is the 4-piece Musketeers. The 2-piece increases attack by 12%, and the 4-piece increases the wearer's speed by 6%, and basic attack damage increases by 10%. So the attack is nice, the speed is a bit helpful, but you keep it at base speed for the most part anyways. And the basic attack damage is going to help scale this thing, but again, just like I mentioned, compared to the other options, this isn't too much better. You can also do 4-piece of the Imaginary set, which the 2-piece increases imaginary damage by 10%, and the 4-piece, when attacking debuffed enemies, the wearer's crit rate increases by 10%, and their crit damage increases by 20% against imprisoned enemies. Which the second part, you get it less often than you would. It's still there because you still can imprison them thanks to Dan Heng being imaginary, but for the most part, you pretty much just assume you don't have that active, and even when it is active, it's still not that much of a difference compared to Musketeers. Musketeers still has a higher scaling there, but again, the difference is very minuscule, around 3% even. And then past that, you practically just take one of those two and you can combine it with together, so you can do 2-piece Musketeer, 2-piece Imaginary, or you could take one of those two sets and do 2-piece of the debuff set, which the 2-piece of the debuff set increases damage dealt to enemies with the debuff by 12%. And you would need someone else on the team to actually apply those debuffs, so if you have no one on the team that can do that, then it becomes useless, but if you do, then it is an option you can do. So once again, just use whichever ones and whichever combination that you have the best rolls on. For his best Planar ornaments, the far and none best one is going to be the Ruling Arena. It is the easiest to actually do despite having a pretty steep requirement because it increases the wearer's crit rate by 8%, and when you have 70 or higher crit rate, the wearer's basic attack and skill damage increases by 20%. Unfortunately, it does not affect the damage on his ult, but his main damage comes from basic attack because you enhance it, so the skill is useless, but it's still there to enhance. It's going to be the best thing because everything else is sort of difficult for him to get. The next option is running Glamoth, and that's assuming you get the 135 speed, because Glamoth increases the wearer's attack by 12%, and when you have 135 speed, you get a 12% increased damage, and if you have 160 speed, you get an 18% increased damage, and with Dan Heng, you practically never will have 160. 135 is doable, but even then it's still worse than Ruling Arena. And then the last option is Space Sealing Station, which is the weakest of them all, but it gives you 12% attack for free, and when you do have 120 speed or higher, you get an additional 12% attack, giving you up to 24% attack increase. And for the most part, spoiler alert, you're not going to have speed boots on Dan Heng, so this becomes a bit difficult. If you do have the speed boots on him, then it actually does make it to where you get the effect, but for the most part, you just want to focus on Ruling Arena because it's the easiest one. For the main stats on the relics, for the body, you want to have crit rate or crit damage corresponding to which one you need more. For the feet, you want to have attack percent. There are some cases where you can use speed, but for the most part you pair him with a hyperspeed Sparkle or Bronia, so for the most part he will not need the speed. For the orb you want to have imaginary damage percent, and for the link rope you want to have attack percent. For the actual substats, as he is just your generic DPS, you want to get as much as crit rate as crit damage. So crit damage, crit rate rolls, all that kind of stuff is going to be great, followed by that attack percent is going to be very helpful. And if you do give him speed boost for whatever reason you're in, then getting some speed rolls can be beneficial because it needs to bring him up to the breakpoint speed. Since if you give him speed boots and you don't even get him the breakpoint, then there's not really any point. So if you are running speed boots on him, then you want to get him to at least 134. So past those, you want to get some speed. So again, crit rate, crit damage, all those are going to be welcome, followed by that attack percent. And then if you're running him with speed boots for whatever reason, then getting him to 134 speed will require some actual speed rolls. And yep, that is the full build guide for Dan Heng. He is very simple and straightforward to build, thankfully. So if you are subbing for him, good luck. If you guys are building him, let me know what you guys are doing. Peace out.